How much do you think it costs a family to live comfortably here in the US? Because the numbers that just came out in a CNBC article are actually kind of mind-boggling. CNBC dropped this article today, and essentially what it does is it says how much they think a family of four should be making in whatever state they're in order to live comfortably. And where I live, Massachusetts came out on top in the wrong way. It is the most expensive. They estimate in order for a family to live comfortably here in the state of Massachusetts, it would cost $300,000 a year. I had sticker shock at that number, but I was not surprised to see Massachusetts topping the list because I live here and know how expensive it is. But honestly, it is mind-boggling to think that a family of four would have to make that much money in order to live comfortably here in the state of Massachusetts. The number surprised me, but then once I started breaking it down, maybe it wasn't so shocking. The average mortgage here in our state is about $3,000 a month, and then the cost of childcare is on average $20,000 a year per child. So you imagine 2 children, that's probably around $40,000 a year. These costs add up, and they add up quickly, and these are just the average costs, right? But the problem here is that the average American salary and the average salary of a person in Massachusetts is nowhere near where it would need to be to live comfortably in this state. And that is what is crazy. We are expected to keep up with this inflation, with these rising, skyrocketing costs, but with the exact same salaries we had 5-10 years ago. It does not make sense. It is not sustainable. And this is why so many families also are choosing to opt out of even having kids or having one child because they can't afford an additional one. These numbers are for a family of four. I have a family of 6 currently. We have 4 kids and we pay about $60,000 a year in childcare costs. And people often will say, there is no way it makes sense for you to work and pay that amount in childcare. But it does, because even without those childcare costs, we still need both of our incomes in order to afford living in this state, to afford our home and our utilities and all the things that continue to add up. So before you give people advice, just take these numbers into context because it will tell you a lot about why they're making the choices that they're making.
Can you believe my net pay as a New York City teacher with a bachelor's and a master's degree, 5 years experience, is only $1,772?
Damn.
Let's break out the numbers and talk about why it's that low. Now, my gross pay is actually $3,151 per check. Federal taxes take out $262. Social Security takes out $195. State taxes takes out $122. Medicare takes out $45. City tax takes out $20. So the government portion alone is $646. Where are my tax dollars going? The roads still suck. I work in a school that doesn't have the supplies or anything they need. I need to know where my dollars are going because y'all taking $646 a check. All right. And then we have other deductions such as my pension, which is $141, my 403B, which is $451, and then my union dues, which is $66. So that leaves me with a net pay of $1,772. Now, I will be getting a 3% raise this month, but I've decided to up my 403B contribution from 15% to 16%. So some of that money will go there and I'll probably see maybe $50. But on the monthly basis, this looks like gross pay being $6,302. The government's portion is $1,292. My retirement gets $1,186. My union dues get $133, which gives me a net monthly pay of $3,544. 1-bedroom apartments in New York are easily $2,000. You even go to the Bronx, you paying like $1,500-$1,600 for a 1-bedroom. Thank heavens I got a condo at like a really good price, because as a teacher with 2 degrees, how do people afford to live like this? Like, it's really not a lot. And I know I'm giving a lot of money to my 403B, but like, it's either you don't put a lot towards retirement because you need to live now, or you find a cheap place to live at so you can put more towards retirement. And it's like, we should be able to do both at the same time, especially in a high cost of living area. But let me know in the comments, does this shock you, or you're like, girl, you're a teacher, this doesn't shock me at all?
Can we talk about inflation for a second? I went for a run, and as you know, have my best thoughts when I was running. And I was thinking about how the other day I went to Larchmont and I ordered a matcha. It was $6.25. And when they punched it in, it said $7.50. And I was like, excuse me, why does it say $7.50 when you've punched it in? And she's like, oh yeah, we raised the prices, but we haven't updated the board yet. And I was like, and she said, oh, also if you want almond or oat milk, it's going to be an additional 75 cents. And I'm like, well, I will not be having that. Thank you. I'm not spending $10 on a matcha, which PS, I don't like that I drink matcha, but coffee gives me anxiety. So I had to switch. I know it's bougie, but anyway, $10, like with the tax, with the tip, that's insane. And then I went to my local coffee shop and the same thing happened. I ordered my matcha. It used to be $6 and now it's $7.50. I'm no mathematician, but I think that's like a 25% increase, which is absolutely bonkers. That's way above the 3% cost of living inflation increase. And then I got a book off my shelf and it was from when I first moved to LA. There was a receipt in there. It was like my first diner breakfast. And I looked at the prices and just compared. An omelet used to be $12, now it's $15. A friend came to town and I was looking for happy hour drinks because, trying to save some money. And you know how Google Maps has like images? I saw an image of an old menu from 4 years ago. The happy hour beverages were $8. Now they're $12. Can you imagine 4 years ago thinking that $12 was a deal for a happy hour beverage? That's absolutely crazy. So what is happening here? Why is everything so much more expensive? Also, my health insurance is an extra $100 a month. So that's $1,200 a year. Everything in the last year is so much more expensive. And again, is way beyond the 3 to 6% inflation increase that we should be seeing. So what is going on? How are we supposed to stay afloat?
What you need to know, corporate America's profit surge, the greedflation gutting your wallet in 2024. Have you been seeing these lately too? These ridiculous price increases from just about every company? I just got another one this morning from Ring Doorbell. In recent weeks, the stain of price hikes has been impossible to ignore. From Netflix and Hulu to Apple TV Plus, and even the Delta SkyMiles card, which already charges hundreds of dollars annually for their fee, is upping it another $100. The cost of living is climbing. Retail CEO forecasts are even more dire, with 70% of retail CEOs poised to raise prices in 2024. This phenomenon is being dubbed greedflation, and it's happening despite corporate America's best profits soaring past traditional levels. Now, while you might hope for a substantial salary bump to keep up with this inflation, well, think again. Predictions suggest the average American's pay is only going to inch up by 4%, and that's if you're lucky in 2024, according to a WTW survey reported on Forbes. Now, pay attention because all of these increases are a lot higher than 4%. So let's put this into perspective. Did you know that the CEO of Walmart, C. Douglas McMillan, earns a salary that is approximately 933 times higher than the salary of the average Walmart worker? And despite his $25.7 million compensation package, Walmart and McDonald's are among top employers of Medicaid and food stamp beneficiaries, according to the Government Accountability Office. Come on, how sad is this? Record profits, huge executive salaries. Or look at GM CEO. GM CEO made $29 million in 2022, which according to ABC News is 362 times the salary of the average worker in the company. Her salary has increased 34% in 2019, according to the AP. Remember, the average American is only 4%. But here's the kicker. A massive study involving 1,300 corporations has unveiled a startling deception. These companies have been feeding us tales of inflation just to justify their price increases, all while lining their pockets with record profits. U.S. Senator Bob Casey has highlighted this, noting that even as actual inflation decelerates, greedflation keeps consumer costs high. During the second and third quarters of 2023, an astonishing 53%, over half of inflation, was driven by corporate profits. Netflix, for instance, not only plans to hike prices, but also to lavish its co-chief operating officers with $40 million compensation packages each in 2024. Each. Price surges aren't stopping there. Amazon Prime Video is tacking on an extra $3 monthly. Spotify joins the fray. Get this, with CEO Daniel Ek's net worth ballooning to $2.4 billion. Big Pharma is hiking prices on over 500 medications this year, and even McDonald's has stumbled in its cash grab, facing backlash for pricing a single one hash brown, at $3. Telecommunications are no exception either, with 5G services likely to see a cost increase. AT&T CEO John Stankey, with a salary of $24.8 million per year, hinted at price hikes. Meanwhile, PepsiCo upped its average prices for its snacks and beverages by 16% in early 2023. And shipping giants UPS and FedEx are implementing a 5.9% price increase, with their CEOs earning millions in compensation. However, consumers are not powerless. By canceling subscriptions and memberships and refusing to purchase overpriced items, we can push back. We're being exploited. Take a stand against paying absurd amounts for everyday items, like a small bag of Tostitos scoops at $5.49. Come on, the power of the purse is real, and it's time to wield it. Businesses aim to maximize profits. That's capitalism. But as consumers, we dictate the true value of products. If a price seems unjust, don't pay it. It's up to us to send a clear message to corporations. Our wallets won't be their cash cows. And this brings a huge ethical debate we need to address in this country. How can companies say employees are being paid fair when we see what their compensation is at the top? How is that fair? It's a lot more than 4%. The tension between maximizing profits for shareholders and ensuring equitable compensation for employees. The fundamental question we must confront is whether it's justifiable for corporations to pursue maximum financial gains if it means undermining the principles of fair wages for their workforce. When we scrutinize the discrepancy between corporate earnings and employee pay, the fairness of such a divide is called into question. What metrics of fairness can companies possibly invoke when their own compensation structures tell a very different story? Thanks for watching, and follow me for more.
I've been asked multiple times now what it's like to live in America in terms of the current cost of living situation. And so in this new series, I'm going to outline the cost of living in multiple different topics. And I want someone to stitch or comment or duet or whatever and just compare what it's like back home. Now, typically I would be going home every year, so I'd be able to do the comparison myself, but this time I'm not going home until about March, April time. So if someone wants to do that for me, that'd be fantastic. If not, just use this as information, as a resource, just so you can compare the costs. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying this is obviously going to depend on where you live in the UK, where you live in the US, where you shop, whether you're like brand specific for multiple things. In this instance, today I'm talking about food. So I've just been for a food shop. For reference, I shopped at Safeway, which is not the cheapest place. Usually, I only bought a few things. I say a few things. There were some items that I already had, and I would often go to like Walmart or something. I used to have a BJ's membership, but I cancelled that. And so I would buy things in bulk. From Walmart, I used to buy I still do 2 pounds of like meat, which is a kilo of meat for X amount. And then I'd buy my vegetables there as well. All right, so this is what I was roughly getting. I was going to get some milk, some bread. I also wanted to get some tortillas because I was going to make some fajitas, some eggs, some breakfast sausages, about a kilo of meat, which is about 2 pounds. Plus I bought some like tins of tuna as well on top of that. I didn't buy any vegetables, so ignore that. Some baked beans, strawberry jam, a bunch of Greek yogurt, and something like a squash equivalent, because obviously you can't buy Ribena or Robinsons here. And so I wanted something to have in water rather than just straight up water. So when I get home, I'm going to show you what I bought. I'm going to show you the cost. And then I just want you to do a comparison. Thank you very much. All right, so this is my shop. This is everything I bought just now. So I bought 2 lots of milk, one for here. I take one to work with me so I can make some tea. I bought some baked beans. This is the like American equivalent. And then I bought some British baked beans for comparison. These are $4 a tin. This is $1.50 a tin. But obviously you can't go without Heinz. So I bought some tuna. Going back over here, so I bought some ground turkey, which is minced turkey basically. Some minced beef, roughly about a kilo of meat there. Some breakfast sausages. These were reduced for $2.50. These are patties. These actually were on sale, so I got them for a bargain. Got some bread, some tortillas, some tuna, some sweet corn, some jam, some Greek yogurt, 12 eggs. Eggs are expensive as fuck right now. And then for like a squash equivalent, I bought some cranberry and grape ocean spray. Dilute this with water. It's very similar to blackcurrant, but it's not. So like I said, I didn't buy vegetables and I had a few things at home. That is how much it cost before discount, and that is how much it cost after. That's with being like a Safeway Rewards member. It's about £70. Follow for more.
So a lot of you have been asking me, what is it like to live in the US? So I'm going to do a series of videos where I talk about this because the US is not everything that they are telling you that it is. I'm just going to be straight up and honest from the beginning. It's not all what they're saying. So it's not all bad either, but I'll start with the cost of living because I feel like that's a really big topic. If you live in the United States, I don't actually care where you live. You're probably not going to be able to go buy lunch anywhere for less than $10, which is like 100 Rand. Like, you're just not going to be able to. When I was living in the United States, cost of living was literally so high. For example, you have a child. You need to send that child to daycare. Daycare that we were sending our son to, where he would actually learn the alphabet, like letters, numbers, that kind of thing, was about $1,300 a month. That's about 25,000 Rand a month. And I know you're thinking, oh, but you're probably getting paid so much more money. The average pay for someone living in the United States is, they say it's about $59,000 a year, which puts you at just under like $5,000 a month. I'm suspect of that number, very suspect of that number, because this is the thing. Also, when you live in the northern part of the United States or cities where it just costs more, you get paid more. So they're also like averaging those numbers in. So like if you live in New York or you live in California, you are going to get paid more money to live there, but it's also going to cost a lot more money to live there. So again, if you're looking at getting like an apartment in like Tampa, the rent was like $2,000. So you just took that $5,000, just under $5,000 that you had a month. Take $2,000 of that away because you need a place to live. And this is without paying for water, paying for electricity, anything. So you're now down to $3,000. Take another $1,300 of that and put it towards daycare because you have a child. And that's per child, not like couple, per child. So don't mess around and have children back to back, or that's going to be a problem. So now you're down to about $1,700 if you've only put one child in daycare. If you put two children into daycare, baby, you only have $200 left. And I already told you it's going to cost you about $10 a day just to get lunch. So you can't even buy lunch every day for the rest of the month if you put two children in daycare and you're making $5,000 a month. So let's say you only put that one child in daycare and you do still have $1,700 left. Well, now you have a car payment, and that car payment is about $300. And so now you're down to what, $1,400? And I know I'm saying $1,400, but y'all don't talk like that. But so now you have about $1,400. And after that $1,400, are you going to go buy food for groceries so you can make dinner at night? Because that's going to cost you about $100 a week, at least, at the very least, for a family of four. And so really it's like $150. So let's do real math. So $150 times 4, what are we at? $600 a month for groceries? Yeah, because 300 and 300. So we have $600 a month for groceries. So take another $600 off of that $1,400. Let's do some math. So after $2,000 a month for the apartment, after another $1,300 a month for putting one child in daycare while you go to work to try to make money, after $600 in groceries, and after $300 for car payment and car insurance, you now have $800. $800. And you ain't even done nothing that brings you joy yet. Because after you have that $800 left, you now still need to pay for your electricity bill, which is going to be about $200 a month. So now we're down to $600. And you need to pay for water, which is going to be about another $100 a month. So now you're down to $500. You have not got your hair done, because if you get braids like this, baby, that's another $300-400. If you get your lashes done, that's another $200. If you get your nails done, that's another $150. Like, y'all, you see how everybody's in the negative already? The negative. So I would say living in the States is extremely, extremely expensive, for one. And again, you still haven't bought a lot of things like this makeup that I'm putting on. You don't have it yet. You don't have it. You want to have internet? That's another $70 a month so that you can, be online doing things. You need a phone? That's another $100 a month that you're paying for this phone bill and this phone. How much do we have, you guys? I think we just took off $100 for the phone. We took off $70 for the internet. We was at like $500. I don't know. You see, the money is gone. It's literally gone. So when they say like, oh, you have so much money living in the States, the cost of living is so much higher. You know that car that you have that you're making car payments on, $300 a month? You also got to put gas in that car. And it's probably going to cost you about $50 a week. And guess what? That's another $200 a month. And you probably don't have it. So you're probably putting it on a credit card. So now you also have a credit card bill that you're trying to pay every month with interest. And I want you to remember, this is how much the people are making that are making the average amount of money, which most people aren't making this average amount of money that they're saying that people are actually making. But if they are, they're probably only making it because they have a college degree, which means they probably also have thousands of dollars worth of student loan debt. So that's another debt that they're paying every month. But again, most people aren't making this much money. And the people that aren't making this much money are probably making like $30,000 to like maybe $40,000 a year. And they still have these same bills, but no money to pay them. I'm saying all this to say, cost of living is disrespectful everywhere. Do you need to go to the doctor? Because you're gonna have a copay on top of the insurance that you've been paying every month. And your insurance that you're paying every month is probably, I don't know, another $100, $200. Oh yeah, because of taxes, I said you get like $60K a year, but you only take home about $40 to $45K a year. So you're actually only gonna get to have about $3,700 to $3,800 a month. So surprise, you've been broke.
Here it is, folks. Here is the actual proof that these companies have been price gouging this whole time. It has not one single fucking thing to do with inflation. So Target is going to be lowering prices on 5,000 items, most of which are groceries and essentials. And they have the ability to do that. Why? Because they raised their prices during the pandemic, not for a reason other than corporate greed, period. The company said in a statement that the price cuts are concentrated in grocery staples like milk, meat, bread, fruits, and vegetables, as well as paper towels and diapers, with many cuts affecting its company-owned Good Gather and Everspring brands. What are they actually saying, though? What they're saying is people aren't shopping at Target anymore because shit's too expensive. We can't afford to buy the plastic trash that all these places are selling, and so they're trying to drag us back in with grocery discounts. Consumers continue to be even more discriminating with every dollar that they spend as they faced elevated prices in their day-to-day spending. Now that it's affecting these big corporations, they're backtracking on their price gouging. And I've been saying this. When you reduce people's wages, when you fire thousands of people and then rehire replacements for them at half the fucking salary, and then you double the cost of goods and services across the board, what is going to happen? It's going to collapse our entire society. So unless these companies are willing to part with their insane profit margins, which they do not need, by the way, we do not need CEOs to be billionaires. If they are not willing to take that money back, give it to people so that they are making enough money to keep up with the price gouging, guess what's going to happen? We're going to stop buying your stuff, bro. This is not fucking rocket science, and I don't understand what they don't understand. But here's the thing. I highly doubt that whatever price cuts Target has done can even compete with places like Aldi. So if they want us to come in, they're really going to have to work for it.
All right, beautiful souls. So I am more than confident that I am not the only one feeling this weight of our nation's future. You know, it's like uncertain times right now. So I'm going to go deeper into something that's keeping a lot of us awake at night. There's a heaviness in the air. I don't know if many feel it, but I do feel it. It's a collectiveness of anxiety about where we're heading as a nation. And no, you're not alone in feeling it. If you do feel it, this uncertainty is about the next 4 years. It runs deep through every community, any zip code you're in. So I'm watching friends who once felt secure now checking their bank accounts more frequently along with their 401k with growing anxiety. I'm seeing young families moving back in with parents because they can't afford both the rent and child care. I'm witnessing seniors choosing which medications to skip from month to month because their Social Security society just doesn't stretch far enough, especially for those that didn't plan for retirement with, say, a pension or a 401k or IRA. So the reality is painfully clear. Some businesses that survived COVID are now closing under inflation's weights. Parents are working multiple jobs just to keep the light on and to feed their families. College graduates are drowning literally in debt with no relief in sight. Medical bills are forcing people to choose between health and home. The American dream, to me, it feels like it's been auctioned off to the highest bidder. That's the best way I can explain it. That's how I feel about it. So what worries me the most isn't just today's struggle. It's the domino effect we're watching unfold throughout the nation. So when people can't afford preventive care, they end up in the emergency room. So when families can't afford healthy food, their children development, it suffers. When workers can't afford to live near their employment, communities, they start to fragment. And when young people can't afford to start families, our whole society, it starts to shift. So when seniors can't afford to retire, it impacts jobs for other younger generations that could actually be stepping into those roles. So the middle class isn't just shrinking, it's being squeezed from every direction, I've noticed. So to those of us who are managing right now, that live with this constant knot within our stomachs, knowing that we might be one medical emergency, one job loss, one market crash away from financial disaster, I think a lot of us are there with you. And let's be honest about who this hits the hardest. It hits the working families that are living paycheck to paycheck, single parents trying to do it all alone, young people starting out their young adult lives, communities of color already facing systematic barriers, regardless of if individuals believe it or not, it does. Rural areas watching their towns slowly disappear, and elderly Americans on fixed incomes. It's impacting the nation. So this isn't about a political parties or pointing fingers at people. This is about real people, our neighbors, our families, our communities, trying to hold on to hope while watching the cost of everything rise except the wages. So we need more than promises and band-aid solutions. We need leadership that understands that every policy decision affects real families trying to make it through another month. We need solutions that think beyond the next election cycle and actually address the root causes of these struggles that the American individuals are struggling with day to day, week to week, month to month, year over year. Because right now, the American dream isn't just deferred for many. It feels like it's being dismantled piece by piece. And until we start having honest conversations about where we're heading and what we're going to do about it, that uncertainty will keep growing, touching more lives, creating more sleepless nights for many individuals. So this is our reality. I feel the question is what are we going to do about it as a society? I just don't know at this time. I'm praying that all goes well for all of us, regardless of what zip code you're in, what class you're in, but ultimately I think something needs to happen to where this this heavy feel of unsureness for the next 4 years is addressed ultimately. I don't know if this resonates with anybody, but for many in my circle, it definitely resonates with them. And if you have any commentary below as to how you're navigating through these difficult times, definitely please share. Or if you have any comments at all, share it. That way we can discuss them. But yeah, it's tough out there in the world. You know, when you take a look at groceries, like I remember a time where I could buy a lot of groceries with a certain amount of money, and I won't say the budget, but nowadays that same budget doesn't bring home the same amount of food that it would bring. So, you know, something has to give, and something has to change for the American people. So I will digress there ultimately. All right, y'all.
I am seriously starting to feel like it's just about impossible to live in the United States. And, you know, I don't want to seem like a lazy bum when I seen this, but I truly feel like it's just about impossible. If you weren't raised and given a good first hand in life, or a support team who will make sure no matter what that you don't fail, or, you know, having people that you're able to fall back on, you're blessed. And if you are one of those people, I highly suggest you thank those people near you, because a lot of us aren't blessed like that. I'm a 23-year-old dad. I've got 2 kids. I've got about to be a 5-year-old in May, and I've got a newborn too. She's just a few weeks old, like 3 weeks. So my wife gets to stay at home and take care of the babies, and I'm out here trying to get it. I'm on my 3rd shift job now. I'm a security officer for Allied Universal. No, I don't represent the company in any way, shape, form, or fashion. This is just a job. I am not a part of this company. But, you know, and I work here from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. every single day, 8-hour shift. I get off of this 3rd shift job and I go directly into another job, which I just go around my city, finding side jobs. It might be a clean out one day and I go out there for another 5, 6, 7 hours. It might be landscaping another day. It might be painting one day. It could be, you know, it varies. I do what I can where I can. But therein, I go home and I have to stay up even longer to make sure that my lady is able to get her rest too, because, I mean, being a mom's a hard job. Yes, I'm working hard, but being a mom is a hard mental job as well in its own. So I have to stay up for a little bit in order to give her time to actually rest and get her sleep too, because she needs it. But I say that to say all this, you know, having people to fall back on. Let's say you're going down the road and, like my case, my heater core blows up. I don't have no one I can call to say, hey, can I borrow $400 so I can get my heater core replaced? Or, you know, you got $300-400 so I can get new tires on my vehicle. That is just something you have to figure out on your own. And if somebody with terrible credit, you can't just go get a loan for these things. The only loan you could get is a title loan. And in a lot of states, title loans are illegal for a reason. I'm stuck in this title loan, having to pay them back $4,300, but I have to pay $700 a month just to drive. That doesn't go toward my principal, on top of having to pay my rent and all the other bills just to survive. It's impossible. You know, I would never hurt or harm myself in any way, but sometimes I just wonder why. Why am I here? I mean, there's got to be a reason why, like, life is so hard for me. What if it's not meant for me? This shit drives a lot of people to anger, man, and I understand. I truly do. You know, people say maybe these next 4 years. No, this is literally impossible. There is nothing no president is able to do to save people from what we are having to go through. Housing at an all-time high. You know, you could go to another country and you can have the same homes here for a tenth of the price that we're paying per month. Food the same exact way. And I just feel like it's impossible. If I was a drug addict, if I was a piece of shit dad, I could have so much more help. But with me out here trying to do everything the right way, you know, and nothing's working, nothing's helping. Life absolutely sucks right now. It truly, truly sucks. And there's no way to get out of it than to continue to dig myself into working and trying to come up out of this hole that seems impossible to come out of. You know, sorry for the rant. I'm not usually the ranting type. I'm just tired. I'm sick and fucking tired of having to live the way that we have to live just to survive, because it's nonsense. It truly is. I mean, I try my absolute hardest and I'm not getting anywhere. A lot of you are able to fall back on TikTok. I can't fall back on TikTok. Every time I try to get a video to blow up, it never does, and I'm not going against any standards. There's people doing way worse shit than me, and they're getting way more views and everything, but yet whenever I want views, I have to pay for them. Not me. I don't have that extra funding. You know, and then you pay for it, and then there's no guarantee that you have those same people coming right back. You pay for the views, and then afterwards, you're back in a 200 view jail. And that's it. TikTok's fucking stupid when it comes to income, too. I don't know. I wish I can catch that big break. I wish I could get back to a life of, you know, damn, we paid our rent, power, water, Wi-Fi, and insurance. That's our bills for the month, you know, and we can afford that. Talking about saving money and being able to invest in land and a whole bunch of other stuff. It seems impossible. So, you know, if you have that support team and you have a whole group of people that are there for you to make sure that you don't fall, be thankful for them, because there's a lot of us up here that one slip, one fuck up, one missed day out of work will cause us to lose our home, our vehicle, and to end up being on the streets. DSS is no help. CPS is no help. They won't help you until you're actually living on the streets. And once you are, they take your kids because you're an unfit parent. There's no help. You can't call these resource centers and everything like that. You can't depend on food banks for food, because a lot of these food banks give you rotten meats and shit. It's just hard. It's just hard. Y'all let me know if y'all go through the same things on a daily basis, or am I just an irresponsible piece of shit? Because I don't feel like I am.
I live and work in Spain, making roughly €1,000 a month,
So my friend sent me this and was asking me if it's true, because I'm also living in Spain currently, and it's 100% true. So much to the point that I'm going to break down all of my costs a month to show you how absolutely ridiculously livable it is. Rent, €325. Utilities, €30. Food for 1 month, €150. And I kind of spend a lot on food compared to my friends, so that's saying something. Phone bill plus Wi-Fi, €27 a month. Gym, €30 a month. One singular bus ride is 40 cents. I also get breakfast out every single day, and it's literally affordable to do that. I get like a sandwich with tomato and tuna. Don't knock it until you try it. It's really good. And then I get a cafe con leche, which is practically like a latte. Every morning, the total is $3.30. $3.30. You can't even get a coffee. You can't even get half a coffee for that in the United States. I'm in Granada, and a glass of wine is costing me like €3. And the thing about Granada is you get a tapa with it for free. So what my friends and I will do whenever we want to go out is we'll get 3 glasses of wine, and that comes with 3 tapas, which pretty much is dinner. And then you're literally spending €9 on 3 drinks and dinner. And the wine doesn't make you as hungover because it doesn't have all these additives that the United States has. I also only work 14 hours a week. Yeah. No, that's not normal to Spain. It's just like with the program I'm with. I'm walking everywhere. Like, it's always sunny outside. Not to mention everyone's literally so friendly. The party life is so much better. Not to mention they got siestas. Come on. Like, the best way I would describe living in this country is you feel like a human being. Everything shuts from 2 to 5, 5:30-ish every single day, so everyone can go home and relax, eat a meal, take a nap. Most things are shut on Sundays, so you always have that day off to just rest. There's fruterias on every single corner where you're getting, like, I literally get all my fruits and vegetables for the whole week for like €6 from the fruteria, and they're like amazing quality. I cannot stress enough, if you have the opportunity to come to Spain and just experience life here, whether it's just like short-term, long-term, do it, because it will change your life and your perspective.